Hello everybody and welcome to a Rift Assassin build. This build is a lot of fun, but it's not really, what can you say, the normal builds that people do. It's pretty rare, and that is also why it can be a bit hard to build for and kinda understand the mechanics behind it. So it's a very good build, but it has some quirks and things you need to know about, and I want to do a bit of an introduction first for the build so we kinda get out the math and other stuff out of the way. So there's really only one guide on the internet that does this build really well. That is Sarah's Rift Assassin. It's on JSP, but it's also on other sites. So we can scroll a bit down here to kicking basics, something you need to understand. So what's not going to work with kicks, and what are kicks before we get ahead? Kicks are dragon talons, because that's the only kick ability we're going to be using. Critical strike, deadly strike, physical weapon and damage including min-max. So critical strike, that's easy enough. That is stuff like Hylot's amulet. Deadly strike, that is stuff like rune words. Weapons carries a lot of deadly strike, that's not gonna work. Physical weapon and damage including min-max damage. This means stuff like grief. It means effects. I think I have actually have a +3 maximum. But yeah, as you can see, this +3 maximum, it does nothing to my dragon talon on the sheet here. So stuff like this is not gonna work for the build. Another thing is that this build is gonna rely on traps. So I'm gonna be relying on Death Sentry, and I'm gonna be relying on Lightning Sentry. I'm gonna also consider putting even more points into traps if I wanted to. I'm also gonna have a level 17 Shadow Master just to get even more, what can you say, crowd control and damage. Another thing is also I'm gonna put raw points into Burst of Speed. That is our main aura. I'm never gonna be using Fade. Burst of Speed, I need 50 attack speed from this one, and that is why we're gonna be putting raw points into this. Now with burst speed and attack speed mentioned, let's move on to another thing here. This is the good old calculator for attack speed. So I highly recommend that if when you're making Rift or getting Rift, you're gonna get it in a VCM weapon of -10. VCM pretty much just stands for how fast the weapon is on its own with no modifier, attack speed, whatever. So Assassin, that's the character, the class. Primary weapon is the weapon you have in this slot. It's very important that you keep the rune word in that slot and not on the other way. That's just a little thing there. Don't take anything on this one. It's just gonna be all clean. We're not gonna be wearing any attack speed. And then down here for skill, you're gonna choose Dragon Talon. No Fanatism, no Frenzy, Werewolf and so forth. Don't pick points into Burst of Speed. That's fine. We can do it, but it doesn't really matter. Now show IRS table, boom, and there you go. This is the rule that we're gonna be following. So with burst speed I get 50 attack speed in total, so I hit 388. 38, so the first kick lands, and then the follow-up kicks from Dragon Talon comes later, and this is the breakpoint we aim for. 3.8 is very fine to aim for. You can get down to 3.7, but not with rune word. It's just not gonna happen with my current gear setup and whatnot. I have other ways that I can reach 3.7 with another weapon, which I will talk about when we go over gear. But this is basically it for the more harder stuff to understand. I also want to quickly scroll down here and highlight a little thing here and try to zoom in a bit. Okay, here's the beauty of Rift. Level 21 frozen up by itself, pulling about 200 to 7,000 damage per shot. Plus 30 skill damage for Nightwing, and Fastest puts it about 300 plus 30 shot. I'd do even more because of wearing a special shield. Minus 100 enemy resistance put our effective orb damage to non-cold moons to 700 damage. Wow, indeed. This is more than a partial Talon magic finder without skillers. This is the equivalent to a level 27 frozen up with level 17 cold mastery. As many of you who have made frozen up swords are used as a backup for dual tree, this is a potent tag indeed. And there's some other things here where you might want to read the guide, but yeah, this guide is going to be in the description below. I also want to highlight a quick thing down here. For Ubers, I remove Rift and the Cold Shield and use Philistriver and Sanctuary Shield. Last this is another premium, albeit expensive keywin for Ubers, we use it often. Yeah, I just mentioned Ubers, and the only thing you need to do for Ubers is just switch out your weapon and your shield, and you can do Ubers in the exact same gear that I'm gonna be using. Potential already there. You can do Ubers and you can do normal PVM on the same build without respeccing a token, whatever. But yeah, I think that pretty much is it for the little introduction there. I want to show off just quickly the build now. So we buff ourselves up with Cold Arms once, then we do our plus skillers, Venom, stuff like that. Talk about that a little bit. Buff ourselves again. And now, due to my gear level being rather high, I never really use Mind Blast. It's a great crowd control and whatnot. It can convert monsters and whatnot. For single player, one player health difficulty, I just use Death Sentry, pop it 5 times and move on. I don't really bother with lightning sentries besides doing bosses that obviously have no causes next to them. Another thing I also really don't use a lot is Cloak of Shadows. Those abilities are just never really worth it. Pretty much I just keep Dragon Talon and bind it there. Throw it, yeah, you can see it now. Yeah, okay. It's a very simple build. You pretty much just do keybinds due to the gear level that I'm running. When you're leveling, when you're at lower gear level, Mind Blast and Cloak of Shadows is excellent for staying alive and getting crowd control and all that sort of stuff. But since I'm so overgeared anyways, I don't really need other than these 2 binds, pretty much. So yeah, I think that pretty much rounds up the introduction. So yeah, there was a bit of a complicated things, and you need to understand these mechanics to really get the full potential out of the build. On with the stats and similar things. So I want to highlight a little thing here, my stash items first. All these items that you see currently in my stash, I can wear them all, no limits, whatever. I think I might need to respec once for Lacerate or whatever, but always try to aim to be able to wear all your stash items without respecking. Obviously, if you're only gonna be running with the Rift Woundword and just having fun with that, don't bother with all these stash items and save a lot of time and wealth. I want to talk stats then. Strength and dexterity, they are so high currently just because I want to be able to wear all my items without respecking a token. You should aim for at least 400 vitality. That gives you, with average gear and whatnot, you should be able to get over 2500 life with Call to Arms. And since we are always going to be using Call to Arms, do try to get enough vitality to actually make that rune worth it. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Attack rating is covered by Dragon Talons putting raw points into it. It's a very nice thing where you max Dragon Talon and then you just get nice plus scalers and other stuff, and then you basically have 10k attack rating without really worrying at all. Defense, it can actually be pretty high. We're using stuff like Nightwing's build and a shield and whatnot, so defense is actually pretty good. Another thing also is that you can actually get as much as 7000 defense on this build with, say, another shield and fortitude procced with chilling armor, so 7000 defense is quite a lot actually, so it's pretty sweet. And then resist. Currently right now I am in my, my offensive PVM melee setup. This is the setup that I want to show off in the video. This setup is maybe not good for anything else than one player health difficulty or something like that, just because you're gonna die faster. But this is the fastest PVM build that I can do on this setup, and it's mostly just revolving around Enigma. Due to Enigma not having any resist, it's gonna be quite low, so the resist is not very high. Now we can talk skillers and whatnot then. Just get that out of the way as well. 10 faster hit recovery for my belt and 5 there. So only 15 faster hit recovery, but that means I reach the third point of faster hit recovery or something, so I just get a little bit of faster hit recovery, which is a big help. And then I use some crappy resistance all charms and, well, clean trap skillers. I highly suggest that you actually try to value your skillers, because getting more life does make the build quite a bit safer. Another thing I also suggest is that you perhaps use Nosferatu's build that has 10 attack speed, which means you need to put less raw points into burst of speed. Those points can then be made into more damage, but I can't really afford currently 12 faster hit recovery trap skillers, but those are definitely ideal to roll with. So get maybe 2 or 3 of trap skillers for 12 faster hit recovery. That is a big help even for PvM. Because then again, you don't have to use Vedunku and you can use other small charms and whatnot. But this is also a bit of a budget thing. I rank kinda low on the on my wealth currently. I don't really have the wealth to buy the best inventory currently. So yeah, I want to also quickly just get out the merc out of the way. Standard infinity setup. Again, try to value getting this one in a fast base like a Frazier or a Cryptic Axe. I just like hitting faster. Colossal Blue is obviously fun with higher damage and whatnot, but it's really all about getting boss damage with crushing blow and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty standard there. Oh, and yeah, you need an increased attack speed dual in the Andariel Special Helm for the best attack speed breakpoint on your merc. So yeah, I think that pretty much rounds up this little part. Some skills. Pretty hard build, just because you kind of need to know about the mechanics behind uh, attack speed breakpoints and other stuff like that, which we covered. Let's start with the martial arts tree, just because that's the easiest part. Now you might notice that I haven't taken any points into the martial arts tree besides Dragon Talon. I had tried all these skills now out, and I really wanted to see if they could be worth at all using, but they just aren't. Dragon Flight is very good. It's a teleport, so you basically click on them up and you teleport to it. I might respec and get Dragon Flight later on, but it's kinda gimmicky, and then you use 3 points to get it. I'm already having Enigma currently most of the time, using it anyways, so Dragonflight is kinda limited. Another thing is also, if you're using Dragonflight, you kinda want to wear it on this ability here, cause you kinda need to be able to use Dragonflight really rapidly, just to get it, best used and whatnot. Another thing is also Dragonflight has a cooldown, so you can't just teleport constantly around, but that's another thing. However, it's actually good damage even for 1 point skill into it, so it does do a lot of damage, especially if you max this ability. But it's also more of a PvP ability, I think. Because again, Enigma, I mean, it's just, yeah, Enigma is Enigma, it's too good. Shadow Discipline, you put 1 point to every one of all these skillers here, then you get 17 skillers into Shadow Mastery. Due to the way that I like to be able to carry all the items and different gear setup, all sorts of weird shit, I put extra points into Shadow Master, just so I always have 17 points into it. Again, this is just a test build, I suppose. I might respec later and whatnot, but this is how I went with it. If you don't like Shadow Master, you're gonna save points. If you don't like Shadow Warrior as well, you can save quite a few points, so do consider that. And then the all-important burst of speed. Put raw points in this until you get at least 50% increased attack speed. 50% increased attack speed means that you don't have to wear any attack speed at all in the Rift setup. And you're still gonna hit the 8 free breakpoint, which is perfect enough for PvM. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Oh yeah, and Venom, it's really crappy in PvM and whatnot. Even for PvP, it's not that strong. Venom is actually spreaded very good with Blade Shield, but that's about it. it's just not worth maxing for this specific build. It's more of a PvP thing to max it. It is, however, worth maxing in PvP, I would say, but that's pretty much it. Another optional thing is also to put points into Mind Blast. That can be kind of fun as well for PvP and so forth. But yeah, I talked about really not ever using any of these, what can I say, optional PVM safety skills here. So you can actually save 3 points here if you don't like using Mind Blast or Cloak of Shadows at all. I did really never really use them anyways. They're kind of just a waste when things dies so fast anyways. At least on one player difficulty. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for shadows. So let's go over traps. We're gonna be using Blade Shield. It's annoying to keep up. You know, in duration is only 105 seconds currently with all the plus skills that are rare. So you kind of have to try to keep it up often. Yeah, on the other two abilities, I don't really think they're ever gonna be worth using. They're just, you know, if you use them, then you waste time, because then you're gonna lay trap instead or did kick instead. They're just not worth using. Fire Blast is a synergy to Death Center, so that's at least a nice thing to start out with. Then you also have to put 1 point into Wake of Fire to get down to Blade Shield. Again, Blade Shield, it does require a lot of points to get, 3 points and 4 to get it, so if you don't like using Blade Shield, however, do suggest it because again it does spread a lot of damage with Venom and whatnot, then yeah, consider this an optional skill as well. But yeah, let's move on to traps. Shockwave, Charge Bolt. You can put raw points into Shockwave if you save enough points to do that. Lightning Sentry and Death Sentry, we're gonna max this one as the most important abilities early on. Oh yeah, I actually think I forgot to talk about the last thing here with Dragon Talon. Dragon Talon, 6 kicks, so that is 6 kicks, boom 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 boom. That is reached at level 30. 5 kicks is reached at level 24 and 3 kicks is reached at level 17. For PVM, for this build, I suggest that you get to plus 30 skillers. It's just a really nice aim, and again, the more points we put into Dragon Talon, the harder it's gonna hit, and the all-important attack rating, cause wow, do you want attack rating for this build. Without attack rating, you're not gonna do any damage, and you're just gonna be, no, you're just gonna be crap. So attack rating is extremely important in this build for progging abilities. Dragon Talon on its own is very good for progging, but again you could miss and then you don't do any damage, so this is why we max it for PVM. But yeah, I think that pretty much rounds it up for these skills. There's a lot of other fine mechanics behind the build, like it's mostly PvP thing, but like maxing Dragon Talents also means that you're gonna be locked into animation for a longer time and quickly. So the more points you put into Dragon Talent, the longer you're gonna be kicking. So for PvP that might be a bad thing and so forth. Like there's a lot of nerdy things about the melee assassin build, the whole trees and whatnot. But that is mostly just for PvP stuff, because this is a very PvP oriented build for most people only. They don't really the general community in Diablo 2 nowadays don't really make this build for PVM at all nowadays. So it's nice to see that with a weird setup like a Rift Woundward, it actually is very good for PVM. Time for the gear. So this is a fun build. What is a fun build? Well, that is a build that's not like a Lightning Sorceress or Whirlwind Barbarian or Smiter Paladin. Something that's just completely not seen often online, offline, whatever. A build that you might just want to experiment a bit with and have weird setups, weird gear sets up and all that stuff. So I think I want to talk first about the items that I don't want to switch and I always want to keep on my assassin, no matter how much fun I want to get out of the build. Dracules. I proc this so easily with Dragon Talon, and having Dracules is just, you know, overpowered in itself. So we're always going to be using Dracul's gloves. There's no real setup that I want to roll with. Only other option for besides Dracul would be +2 to assassin skills, 20 attack speed gloves, stuff like that. That would actually be quite good in some setups, but Dracul's is just too good to pass up, especially for this Rift build. So Dracul stays on always. Raven Frost Rings always stays on. We need the attack rating, the dexterity, mana and stuff like that. Does help quite a bit, as you can see here. So we really do want just one Raven Frost Ring. The Dunkus Hurry Cord, this one should be pretty much stable for the Rift Assassin build without faster hit recovery. Another option also, if you really don't want faster hit recovery, you think it's a completely overrated thing, Thunder Gods is very good on this build as well. Thunder Gods is, just great for everything pretty much. So good stats and lightning absorb and stuff like that. So if you don't care for faster hit recovery at all, some people don't want that, they think it's a PvP thing, then you should go with Thunder Gods always on. Goblin Toe upgraded. This is a very hard item to get, at least on non-ladder. I looked for quite a while. These upgraded gives, I think, just slightly less damage, kick damage than upgraded Gore's Riders, but they have more crushing blow. Deadly Strike does not work, and I don't really care too much for the faster one walk that these Gore Riders offers. It's a very long debate and whatnot, but the Rift Assassin guide, the written guide, has more details on why Goblin Toe wins out over upgraded Goblin Gore Riders. Yeah, it's a bit of a long topic, boots versus boots there. And then Superior Menage. I would always keep this on my Rift Assassin build, and obviously the Rift Boomer and the Nightwing Spiel. Sucker this one with a 5/5 duel and try to get it at 15% cold damage. This one could also be a Headhunter's Glory, but I don't really find Headhunter's Glory better than a Monarch, so we will go with this one. Also, another thing is that I get extra cold damage and extra minus resistance, which is fun over Headhunter's Glory. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the stable items. Yeah, so we can go over the fun items now. Just gonna quickly showcase the items. Stormlash, Chain of Honor, Sanctuary, Lacerator, Fortitude, and Dragon Woundward. A 10 faster cast rate with nice mana on it. Dwarf Store Ring, High Lord's Wrath. This is actually Unperm 08 High Lord's Wrath. I think that was I found that to be better than the original. Carrion Wind, Gulliam Space with a Imp Rune. Keep one martial arts skiller for different setups, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the gear. So I want to talk specifically about Stormlash. Oh, and I forgot to talk about Shell Moon. But 50 plus 50, what is that? That is 100 attack speed. And did you notice that I was talking about reaching 7-3 kick and attack speed breakpoint for Dragon Talon just before? With a Shale Rune in Stormlash, you can actually do that. So this weapon is amazing for getting super fast attack speed, for Ubers and other scenarios where you really just want to kill stuff really fast. Stormlash is the perfect assassin weapon. Crushing Blow and Static Field, amazing for Ubers. Another option is going with Lacerator, just because of the amplified damage on striking. It's a very good proc. Try to also get this one in Eve. It's kinda hard to tell if Eve even matters and whatnot, but yeah, I'm not really sure about it. I think, if I remember correct, Eve does break from Blade Shield, so It's a bit of a hard thing to maybe roll with, but I don't really think I'm gonna be using this one too much anyways, so I went with an Eve also just because of the resale value. This weapon can pretty fast be sold again if I don't really like it anyways. Yeah, and then we have different armors. Chain of Honors gives you all the nice resist and good damage to demons and whatnot. This is a very good armor for general PvM and especially for Ubers. So if I'm gonna be doing Ubers or other harder content, this would be my main armor. Fortitude is for specifically wearing stuff like Amplify, Lacerator with the Amplify proc to get maximum damage. Well, I can actually just go and show it. Now notice my Dragon Talent's damage there. You notice that it's not really going up a lot with Fortitude, but it is rising just a little bit. The 300% enhanced damage doesn't do a lot for Dragon Talon. This is just how the build works, but it does do something, and that is why it's still the best option. Another option, if you don't like Fortitude on an Assassin for whatever reason, you could also go with Duress, just because it has some other really good stats like faster hit recovery and the all-important Crushing Blow. So consider Duress instead of Fortitude if you just want Crushing Blow and faster hit recovery. And now for the shields, Sanctuary together with Chains of Honor and Dracouls, they can pretty much carry you. I put these 4 items or 3 items on when you do Ubers and you're never really gonna die ever. Completely insane items for Ubers, these 3 ones here. And then Dragon for all the fun, so Lacerator, Fortitude, and Dragon for my melee setup. This ought to be fun to do. Oh yeah, then Gulliam's Face obviously also for Ubers every time. But yeah, this is pretty much the gear setup that I suggest for Ubers or going full out melee when we are not really bothering with Rift for whatever reason. Now, Chaos Ring, good for 42% faster cast rate breakpoint, together with a Spirit Shield that has at least 32 faster cast rate. So switching this one out, this Bulkatos Vending Ring out, and teleporting with a switch is very good. So I keep just a decent faster cast rate ring on it. Draft Star instead of Bulkatos if you're doing like Chaos runs and you for some reason don't like the fire damage. This one can help quite a bit on survival. Kylo's Wrath 08, this is an on-pam one, at least I can only assume it is. Faster on-walk is just very good for this build. Mars Amulet just gives me good survival stats and +2 skillers, so I don't really like it too much, but still I keep it. And then Carrion Wine Ring, just a lot of fun. This is sort of like Dragon Wound where you get all sorts of crazy procs. It's just another way to have fun. High life leech and procs is always fun. And yeah, I think that pretty much rounds it up. Again, a lot of stash items, but they're mostly just used for fun scenarios, going completely melee or doing Ubers. So it's kind of optional, all these items, so you don't have to get them at all. I just wanted to show them off in the video, so I got them all now together to kind of get a well-rounded guide, I suppose. But yeah, I think that pretty much rounds it up. So I think we're gonna do some gameplay next up. I want to talk specific how this build plays and other stuff. A fun thing with Rift Woundward, it's actually an ability that a stat that I never really cared too much about. All the way down at the kind of bottom here, it says 38% damage taken goes to mana. So, quick math. If I take 100 damage, 100 damage, just damage alone, and I have 10% damage taken goes to mana, so 10% of 100, that's 10 mana, so I would gain 10 mana. Pretty simple. And this is why we actually can play this build without mana leech, spamming a few potions here and there. If you really wanted that smooth PvM feeling, never really chugging too many mana potions and whatnot, especially because also like teleport is expensive and whatnot to use, You could go with a mana leech swing, but this is just a little fun thing that I wanted to highlight with this rune, besides all the other really awesome stats this weapon has. Yeah, we need to probably also talk a little about the pre-buffing and whatnot now. So in a new game, you always pre-buff yourself once with Call to Arms. Then you keep your burst to speed up. Luckily that does last for a long time. Venom, Shadow Master. He always gets the auras that you have and whatnot, so it's nice to see that the Shadow Master is buffed by your Mercy Chant as well. And then keep Venom up. And then Blade Shield. And as soon as Blade Shield up, you really just want to start moving because it doesn't really last too long. So that's just a little thing to notice there. Oh yeah, and when all this is done, you buff up Call to Arms again. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the build. There's not really much more to say how it kind of works. You know, Dragon Talon is gonna proc all your abilities easily, just because it's such a high proccing skill or whatever. It's sort of like a seal on a paladin. It's just a very good way to proc abilities, also due to the insane fast attack speed. I think people claim that this is the fastest attacking ability, a skill in the game, class in the game and whatnot. So it's really good for Ubers and stacking Crushing Blow and whatnot. But yeah, I think we want to do some gameplay then. So again, for lazy PvM feel, pretty much just a Dragon Talon on this one, and Death Sentry on that one. Then the occasional teleport comes. Like it's dead, yeah, I can just move on. And it's dead, and I can just move on. So while doing this gameplay, I want to talk a little more specific about hybrids and why we have to rely on traps. Initially when I was leveling, figuring out builds, if I really wanted to like this build and all that stuff, I was actually hoping that I could use melee assassin builds a little better in some way, but it just doesn't really happen. The only way to really make this build work is relying on traps, and in this case also the frozen up damage, which is actually quite good AoE damage. I really wanted to like it, but it's just not gonna happen. And wow, I can't take lightning soul damage at all. And a problem, yes, you are proccing Dracouls really fast, so it's gonna proc. But if you kill the mobs so fast anyways, you might run into a situation where you just don't seem to proc it fast enough, and you kind of run into dangerous situations. Now with souls that hits a lot, because I don't have any resistance at all pretty much. This build has done 3 minutes and 20 chaos runs with an average decent enough map. That is as fast as my, well, my Rift Paladin build or my Sealed Sorceress or something like that. It's very good melee build. But again, we are relying on traps, which some people might find to be boring or something like that. Oh man, Lightning Souls is just gonna kill me. Let's get out of this level 2 here, man. This is dangerous. Oh man, teleporting around for like no damage, with no no life. Yeah, that's also another thing. I really do like faster hit recovery for teleporting in general PvM. It's just very good for teleporting. Having that, what can I say, teleport being safer is just very good, especially when you run with such a low amount of faster cast rate. It just makes the build so much better for general PvM. But yeah, I think the main problem is just really getting Dracouls to proc before mobs are dead, because you tend to just kill things so fast that you never really let Dracouls proc, you know, uptime enough and whatnot. But yeah, let's do a little more relaxed here. This is not full of freaking souls that's gonna kill me really easily. Yeah, want to talk a little about lightning assault as well. Stormlash has lightning assault. Uh, uh, Thunder Gods has lightning assaults and whatnot. There's a lot of options for getting uh, lightning assaults, which can help on the Enigma setup. Because again, teleport is just too good. I want to be able to use teleport on all my builds. If you can't keep up with other players, you're just never really gonna do anything. Like I tried Chains of Honor and I tried Fortitude, but every time I try those abilities, they're just slower. I just clear Chaos runs a lot slower without Enigma on, and that's kind of the sad truth about it. It's not because I'm just totally reliant on Enigma every time I do a build, but god, having that teleport for PvM is just needed. Like in that case, you see a teleport all this way up here, boom 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 boom, fast put the traps. It's just really good to not skip maps, you know. I'm not gonna skip maps. I always like to do a full clear of a map, and that's, yeah. But like you see, even with, you know, low amounts of resist, it's not really gonna die on Chaos runs. There are specific situations where I showed just before now, dying there while teleporting with low health on all those insane souls, but that's pretty much it. But yeah, notice all the procs now with all these crazy frozen orbs just flying over the screen. There's a lot more options, info for frozen orb in the guide in the description below. Check that out, you know, learn about the mechanics, stuff like it having no casting animation, so you don't waste any time yourself when it's proccing. I mean, it's just going off constantly frozen orb. I'm spamming more frozen orbs than a sorceress pretty much, due to sorceress having that cooldown where you can't spam frozen orb every second just because it goes, you know, red. I don't have that problem on a Rift Assassin. However, obviously the frozen orb is not gonna explode into the corpses of mobs usually, so that is a bit of a waste, I suppose. Let's just quickly round off the video here now. You see there, boom. Death Sentry with a lot of corpses around is absolutely insane damage. But for bosses, obviously, we're gonna use Lightning Sentry. But before the video and guide gets too long now, I think I want to round it off with that. It's a lot of fun build, and I think it might even be able to do Ubers as good or better than a Smite Paladin, just because it's attacking so fast with Dragon Talon. I'm just gonna find a clean mob now. See if I can just, yeah. Do you notice the kicks now? Just how fast the animation is? That is way fast, even for compared to like the Smite Paladin. It attacks so fast, proccing grad, crossing blow, completely insane for Ubers and whatnot. So yeah, very good build. And if you want to see me do Ubers on this and going more melee without Rift, so that would be stuff like using Stormlash and Sanctuary or something like that, feel free to comment about that. I will do a follow-up video then if people want to see me do Ubers in this setup. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to add than that. Again, great build, and I'm so happy to see that a fun build like this that is kind of weird and not really used a lot is this powerful and was worth the investment. It's a lot of wealth to invest into this stuff. Like Rift Woundward by itself, it costed me 30 FG, which is kinda a lot, you know, for just one item. So yeah, I was just happy to see that it did pay out. But yeah, as always, have a good one and see you in the next video.